वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासति गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की। श्री वृंदावन धाम की। श्री नवदेव मायापुर धाम की। गंगा मई यमुना मई की। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। श्री श्री राधा वल्लभ की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमयी की। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं दैवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकीम्। We continue our reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 4. Chapter entitles the characteristics of Rishabhadev. Text number 10. It's a prose verse. Tam anu kushabrata ila brata brahmano brata ila varto brahma varto malaya ketur brahmasena Indrasprig Vidharva Kirata Iti Mama Navati Pradhana. Somebody wants to try? Tamanu Kusavarta Ilavarta Brahmavarta Malaya Ketu Bhadrasena Indrasprig Vidharvata Krita Iti Navadavati Pavadana. Word for word, excuse me. Tam, him, anu, following, kushavrata, kusavrata, ilavrata, ilavrata, brahmavarta, brahmavarta, malaya, malaya, ketu, ketu, Bhadrasena, Bhadrasena, Indrasprig, Indrasprik. Vidharva, Vidharva. Kikata, Kikata. Iti 10. Nava, 9. Navati, 90. Pradhana, older son, older than. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Following Bharata, there were 99 other sons. Amongst these were 9 elderly sons named Kushabrata, Ilabrata, Brahmabarta, Malaya, Ketu, Bhadrasena, Indrasprik, Vidharva, and Kikata. Translation responsibly. Following Bharata, there were 99 other sons. Among these were 9 elderly sons named Kushabrata, Ilabrata, Brahmabarta, Malaya, Ketu, Bhadrasena, Indrasprik, Vidharva, and Kikata. So text number 11 and 12 also don't have a purport. So this verse also don't have a purport. So we'll continue. Kabir Habir Antariksha Prabhuda Pipalayana Avirhotro Atha Drumala Chamasa Karabhajana Iti Bhagavata Dharma Darshana Navan Maha Bhagavata Tesam Sucharitam Bhagavan Mohimo Prabhramahitam Vasudeva Narada Sambadam Upasayami Yanam Uparisad Varna Ishyamaha. Translation. In addition to these sons were Kabi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, and Karavajana. These were all very exalted, advanced devotees and authorized preachers of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. These devotees were glorified due to their strong devotion to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they were very exalted. To satisfy the mind perfectly, I, the Sukadeva Goswami, shall therefore describe the characteristics of these 9 devotees when I discuss the conversation between Narada and Vasudeva. This sloka also don't have purport, so we'll next move on to the next one, text 13. Yaviya yamsa eka sitirja yate yanteya pitura desakara mahashalina mahasrutriya yagyasila karmabi shuddha brahmana vibhuvu. Translation. In addition to these 19 sons mentioned above, there were 81 younger ones, all born of Rishabdev and Jayanti. According to the order of their father, they became well-cultured, well-behaved, very pure in their activities and expert in Vedic knowledge and the performance of the Vedic rituals. Thus, they all became perfectly qualified Brahmanas. Purport. From this verse, we have good information of how the castes are qualified according to quality and work. Rishabdev, a king, was certainly a Kshatriya he had 100 sons. Out of these, 10 were engaged as Kshatriyas and ruled the planet. 9 sons became good preachers of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Mahabhagavatas. And this indicates that they were above the position of Brahmanas. The other 81 sons became highly qualified Brahmanas. These are some practical examples of how one can become fit for a certain type of activities by qualification, not by birth. All the sons of Maharaj Rishabdev were Kshatriyas by birth, but by quality, some of them became Kshatriyas and some became Brahmanas. 9 became preachers of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the Bhagavata Dharma Darshanaha, which means they were above the categories of Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. Om Ajnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitan Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Mitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhamitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tattvakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpaturubhyascha kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Vicharanya Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Vastate. Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing to hearing the great characteristics and the lineage of Maharaj Rishabdev. Rishabdev is the Krishna himself, or the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Krishna. So in these few verses we have heard that Maharaj Rishabdev and Jayanti had 100 sons. And out of the 100 sons, like as Prabhupada mentions in a purport, that this is the classic example of the varnashram system is not based on birth. You will see here that all the sons of, Maharaj Rishabdev is coming in the family of Kshatriya. And out of 100 sons, 10 become Kshatriya, 9 becomes the Mahabhagavatas, even above the Varna system, and the 81 become the Brahmanas, who are practicing a pure ritualistic, or studying the Vedas and following the full varnashram system, the Vedic system, karma kanda, more towards the ritualistic or karma kanda. And out of 10, Bharat Maharaj is the oldest, the Kshatriyas, who taken Kshatriyas, as mentioned on the text 10. So, as the story unfolds, that Maharaj Rishabdev will retire, and Bharat Maharaj will take the kingship. As we know, the Jambudvip is divided into a 9 verses. So Bharat Maharaj becomes the ruler of the Ajnava Varsha. At that time is known by Ajnava Varsha. That becomes, Bharat Maharaj was ruling so perfectly that demigods that gave him renamed the name of that particular verse as Bharat Varsha or Bharat Varsha under the Maharaj Bharat Maharaj. And when Bharat Maharaj retires, these other 9 sons will rule the Bharat Varsha. Now, Bharat Varsha is also further divided into 9 further divisions. It's called Bharat Khandas. So each of the brothers of Bharat Maharaj will rule over these 9 Khandas of the Bharat Varsha as when Bharat Maharaj retires. Then we have 9 Mahabhagavatas who became the Navayogendras. There is very beautiful, I think it's 4th chapter dedicated in the 11th canto from 2nd, 4th, 5th and 6th. These 4 chapters are just purely the teachings of Navayogendras. As we understand that when this group of great rishis, including Narad Muni, Vasistha and others, they visited the Dwarka when towards the end of Krishna's pastime. And Narad Muni, when he visited, he stayed back. And Vasudeva takes an opportunity of presence of Narad Muni and inquires from Narad Muni. He wanted to get the instructions or the teachings of Narad Muni. So he receives the Narad Muni and then worships and then makes an inquiry as we all should be doing, taking advantage of being having a spiritually advanced personality in your home. Then take the association. Association equals getting receiving the instructions on the spiritual matter. So in the 11th canto, when Narad Muni was there, Vasudeva inquires from him. He inquired. This is in the text 11 of the 11th canto, chapter 2, text 11. Vasudeva says, "What is the eternal duty of the living entity towards the Supreme Lord?" This was the question posed by Vasudeva to Narad Muni. Now, Narad Muni, in response, what he does is he narrates because similar question was asked by Maharaj Nimi to Navayogendras. These Navayogendras, the 9 sons of Rishabdev, this same question was asked by the Maharaj Nimi in Mithila, the king of Mithila. And he comes in the line of the Janakas, the Mithila, or in the lineage of Janak Maharaj. So this similar question was asked. Narad Muni now going to narrate the conversation that was between the Navayogendras and the Maharaj Nimi. So what was the question by Vasudeva to Narad Muni? Yes. What is the eternal duty of a living entity towards the Supreme Lord? So in that conversation, Maharaj Narad Muni is now going, similar to what we have when Parikshit Maharaj inquires from Sukadeva Goswami about the creation. What is the creation? What are the ingredients, and what are the different aspects of creation? Then Sukadeva Goswami, rather than answering from his side, he also, this is in the second canto, he also narrates the conversation between Brahma and Narada Muni. So rather than answering directly, they are referring to the higher authorities, as in. So similarly here is Narada is going to narrate the conversation between the Navayogendras and Maharaj Nimi. So this is in the second chapter of the 11th canto. Narada Muni says, these sages, now this is referring to Navayogendras, these sages wander the earth, seeing the entire universe with all its gross and subtle subjects as a manifestation of the Supreme Lord and as non-different from the self. The nine Yogendras are liberated souls who travel freely to the planets of the demigods, the perfect mystics and sadhyas, the heavenly musicians, the yakshas, the human beings, and the minor demigods such as kinnaras and serpents. No mundane force can check their free movement exactly as they wish. They can travel as well to the worlds of the sages, the angels, the ghostly followers of Lord Shiva, Vidyadharas, Brahmanas, and cows. So the Narada Muni is just giving a little description of these Navayogendras, the qualities of these Navayogendras. See, they became Mahabhagavatas by their devotional. As we say, the 81 sons, they became Brahmanas. 10 sons became Kshatriyas, and these Navayogendras are now, they're like Bhagavatas as described by Narada Muni. So now Maharaj Nimi is asking questions to these Navayogendras. He asks about 9 questions. Each of the rishis will answer the questions by Maharaj Nimi. So what I thought was I'll just take a question by Nimi, and because in the conversation, of course, they gave many verses. They explained the same topic, but each of the sages, or the 9 sages, they explained the question posed by Maharaj Nimi. So I thought of just taking a question of Maharaj Nimi and just taking one verse of each Navayogendras that they taught in response. So because it's related to Navayogendras, I thought just relate to that. So in the text 29 of the second chapter of the 11th canto, Maharaj Nimi asked the question. First, actually, he glorifies them as an etiquette, because now he has received these exalted Vaishnavas into his palace, and as a glorification, Maharaj Nimi, very famous verse, he says, Durlabho manusho deho dehinam chanabhangura tatrapi durlabam manye vaikuntha priyadarsana. He's glorifying the association of the how important is the association of the Vaishnava. Durlabho manusho deho, the human form is very rare by itself. After so many species, millions of species, we get this human birth. Dehinam chanabhangura, this deha can be just destroyed any moment. Tatrapi durlabham manye. Even rarer to this getting a human form is the association of the Vaishnavas. Vaikuntha Priyadarsana. those who are very dear to the Vaikuntanath, or the Lord of the Vaikuntha. How rare it is. Chanavangu, like it's even... So even he says, even higher than the human birth is already rare. Even rarer is to get the association of the Vaishnavas, even for the moment. Now the first question by Maharaj Nimi to Navayogendra. Says, please speak about how one engages in the devotional service of the Lord. First question by Maharaj Nimi to Navayogendras. There are 9 of them. So, here is the response. The first is Kavi, by the name Kavi. This is in text 41, the response. It says, a devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Either ether, fire, air, water, earth, the sun and other luminaries, all living beings, directions, trees and other plants, rivers and oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be the expansion of Krishna. So what was the question? The question was, please speak about how one engages in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So now, of course, there is about 15 or 16 verses he explains on this same topic. But what he is saying is basically, he says, everything whatever you perceive, see, the elements, the directions, the rivers and all those, it's all what he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within the creation as the body of the Supreme, Hare, a devotee should offer his sincere respect to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. This is one of the response. Of course, there is many verses that Kavi gives on the same explanation on the same topic. Question number 2. This is, what are the natural symptoms by which I can distinguish between the most advanced devotee and those on the middle level and those who are on a neophyte level? So basically the second question was please explain or tell me about the different categories of the devotees, the different types. We have, in that section he goes through all the Madhyama, the Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari and the Uttamadhikari. He all gives explanation. So describes the qualities and characteristics of these devotees, different types of devotees. So I just pick one verse this is the second Navayogendra now responding. His first one is who? Kavi. Second is now Havir. 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 In the text 51 it says, birth in a aristocratic family and the execution of austere and pious activities certainly cause one to take pride in himself. So like similar to prayer to what Kunti Maharani says, Jain Janma Aishwarya Sutra Sivi, all these different the characteristics of the material characteristics. Similarly, if one enjoys the prestigious position within society because his parents are highly respected member in the Varnashram social system, one becomes more infatuated with himself. But if despite of these excellent material qualifications, one does not feel even a tinge of a pride within himself, he is to be considered a dearmost servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So having the great birth, Janma, high birth, Aishwarya, all the opulence, Sruta, the knowledge, beauty. Hare is saying, these, despite of having all these, a person remains prideless, doesn't become a proud. He says, then Krishna is pleased with him. Question number 3. He says, now we wish to learn about the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now the second question was about the different, the classification of the devotee. Third question is now about the illusion, the Maya, Sakti of Krishna. Now the third Navyogendra, his name is Sri Antariksha. Kavi, Hare, Antariksha, third one. The response by Antariksha. So I'm just taking one verse after each says that explained. So of course they have explained many verses. If you read the chapter third, and the second, third, fourth, there's 4th chapter dedicated on these teachings of Navyogendras, if you want to really refer to it in details. The answer by Antariksha: the individual living beings, the master of the material body, uses his material senses, which have been activated by the super soul, to try to enjoy the sense objects composed of 3 modes of nature. Thus he misidentifies the created material body with the unborn eternal self, becomes entangled in illusory energy of the Lord. So basically, the question was, what's the illusion? Answer is, to identify with this body is one of the illusion. Simple. 4th question. How a foolish materialist can easily cross over the illusory energy? And this is the 4th Navyogendras. His name is Sri Prabhupada. Kavir, Hare, Antariksha, Prabhupada. This is in the text 18. Accepting the roles of a male and female in human society, the conditioned souls unite in sexual relationship. Thus, they constantly make material endeavors to eliminate their unhappiness and ultimately increase their pleasure. But one should see they inevitably achieve exactly the opposite result. In other words, their happiness inevitably vanishes. As they grow older, their material discomfort increases. So what was the question? How even a foolish materialist can easily cross over the material energy. What was the response? Sorry? Yes, don't plan for exactly, yes. Well, don't plan for sense gratification, all this material comforts, house, wife, children, gains, everything, that eventually they will be gone. The old age will hit. And there it says, as they grow older, the material discomfort decreases. So this is a material energy. That's, we get illusion too. Question number 5. Please explain me the transcendental situation of the Supreme Narayan. And the 5th Navyogendra is Pipalayana. Their answer, this is one of the when one seriously engages in devotional service to the personality of Godhead, fixing the Lord's lotus feet within one's heart as the one goal of one's goal of life, only goal of life, one can destroy the innumerable impure desires lodged within the heart. As a result of one's previous work within the three modes of material nature, when the heart is thus purified, can directly perceive the both Supreme Lord and oneself as a transcendental entities. Thus one becomes perfect in spiritual understanding through the direct experience, just as one directly experiences the sunshine through the normal, healthy vision. Question number 6. Please speak about us the forces of Karma Yoga. By executing without attachment the regulated activities prescribed in the Vedas, now Karma Yogas, offering the result of work to the Supreme Lord, one attains the perfect freedom from the bondage of material work. So what's Karma Yoga? The question was, what is Karma Yoga? He said, the response is, offer the result to Krishna. You do your activities, you continue to do it. As in Bhagavatam, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Krishna says the same thing. You perform your duty, but give result to me. Offer, don't. Yeah. So that is same thing explained here, and they were by Havirhotra, the 6th Navi Yogendra. The 7th question, please tell us about the various pastimes that the Lord Hare has performed in the past and is performing now and will perform in the world in the future. So now the 7th question was posed as please tell us the different incarnations of the Lord in a different past, present, and future. This is the 7th Navi Yogendra. His name is Sri Drumila. Response. The infallible Supreme Personality of God, Vishnu, has descended into in this world by various partial incarnations such as Hamsa, Swana, or the Hamsa Swana, Dattatreya, 4 Kumaras, our own father, mighty Rishabhdev. See now, who were the Navi Yogendras? Sons of Rishabhdev. Now they mention that Rishabhdev is also the Supreme Personality Godhead who appeared in the as his incarnation. So the question was the different incarnations. So of course there's a whole varieties of incarnation. I just picked a verse that's probably relevant to topic. So where it mentions Rishabhdev specifically. Question 8 was, kindly please explain the destination of those who, for the most part, never worship the Supreme Hare. So if those who do not worship the Hare, what is the destination? This is the 8th question asked. And the 8th Navi Yogendra, Sri Chamasa, as mentioned on all the names of the Navi Yogendras mentioned in the text 11 and 12. So 8th is the Sri Chamasa. The response. The conditioned soul become completely bound by the affection of their own corpse-like material bodies. Wow, a heavy word. The body it says corpse-like, means almost dead. Without the soul, the body's dead. And their relatives and paraphernalia in such a proud and foolish condition, the conditioned soul envy other living entities as well as the Supreme Lord, Hare, who resides within the heart of all beings. Thus, enviously offending others, the conditioned souls gradually fall down to hell. Wow. What was the question? What is the destination of those who don't worship Hare? Correct. So basically, worship the Lord, respect other living entities, don't offend them. Yeah, stay away from Vaishnava Aparad. That's what's the answer was. The 9th question. In what colors the forms does Supreme Personality God appear in each different ages? Now the 9th Navayogendra, his name is Sri Karvajana. He gives all in the incarnation that Lord appears in the Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, different colors, different forms and everything. He gives the details. Now, the very famous, this is the prediction in Bhagavatam, we find the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. This is the Kavi and the Karavajana, one of the Navayogendras, predicting Lord Chaitanya will come. What's the famous verse of the 11th canto? Prediction of Lord Chaitanya. Krishna Varna Kritisha Krishnam Sango Parshado Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtanai Prayir Yajantihi Sumedasa. This is the famous verse spoken by one of the Navayogendras. His name is Karavajana. Karavajana Rishi or Sri Karavajana. Predicting Lord Chaitanya's that will come. Because Śrīmad Bhāgavatam was spoken, 4,500 prior to Lord Chaitanya's appearance. So this is a prediction where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come. In this age of Kali, intelligent person perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not a blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companies. So this is the teachings of, just a nutshell, I just gave one teaching of each of the Navayogendras, because the Navayogendras were mentioned. So this is the some of the, teachings. Very nice conversation. It's a lot more details there. Beautiful explanation. And the conversation between Maharaj Nimi and these Navayogendras taking place. So I thought it was relevant because these names are mentioned. To mention how these devotees, they became perfect in their, even though they were born as the Kshatriyas, but they became perfect devotees as the highest caliber devotees. And today also happens to be similar personality, who was the son of a king. Today is the disappearance of Narottam Das Thakur, exalted Vaishnava. He appeared in our Vaishnava tradition. So just briefly speak on the another 10-15 minutes. We'll speak on the Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Now, Narottam Das Thakur's birth also was predicted by Mahaprabhu himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he was traveling in the West Bengal along with his associates, when they reached the river called Padmavati, river in Bangladesh, there Mahaprabhu was with his associates performing Sankirtan. Suddenly Mahaprabhu just goes, Narottam, Narottam. He just goes in that very ecstatic, And then suddenly devotees wondering what is happening. There's amongst all the associates, there's nobody by that name Narottam. So then Mahaprabhu said, there's a great Vaishnava that will appear in the future. His name will be Narottam. So this is Mahaprabhu is already predicting that Narottam is coming. Because Narottam Das Thakur appears about 15 or 16 years later than when Mahaprabhu departs after that. So Mahaprabhu, what he did was, how do we know how will we recognize that he's come? He said, so what he did was, he went to this river, Padmavati. Padmavati is a stream of a Ganges, one of the stream of a Ganges. So he went to the river, and then he said, when Mahaprabhu went in the river, whole river started to overflow, just ecstatic because of his pure love. Then so when Narottam and then the Mahaprabhu said that the love of Godhead I will place into this river. When Narottam Das Thakur comes and bathes here, and he will receive this love of Godhead. So this is Mahaprabhu already predicted. Then Narottam Das Thakur, this as I mentioned, he appears on around the year 1531, approximately, in the village called Keturi. This is in West Bengal. I mean, in the Bengal. I think it's Bangladesh now. The father and the mother. The father was named by Krishnananda Datta, Krishnananda Datta, and his mother is Narayani. The father was a king or jamindar at the time. It's jamindar. Basically, they were the rulers of a particular section of the rulers. Even though it was ruled by a Nawab Hussain Shah, who is the Muslim kings, but they have a smaller kings. They manage the local area. So they were the kings. Now Krishnananda Datta had another brother, I think my brother called Purushottam Datta. And Purushottam Datta had a son, Santosh. Krishnananda had a son named Narottama. So Narottama was born, appeared, and they had a Annaprasana done. So when Annaprasana was done, it is mentioned in the Bhakti Ratnakar that Narottam refused to take the first grains. Even though it was just only 6 months or whatever the age was, very young. Refused. And they kept hurting him, he kept refusing them. He would not take it. And somehow the Brahman realized, okay, let's offer, because the sweet rice, which is the grain, it was not offered. So they offered it, and when the prasad was given to Narottam Das Thakur, then he accepted it. At that time also, the astrologer was called to see the future of the Narottam Das Thakur. The astrologer predicted that he will be a great personality. If he were to remain, he has all the characteristics of becoming a king. Or he could be a greater than king, he could be a just pure devotee of the Lord. That's the prediction. But he also made one prediction. He said, don't let this child go into a river. So, because he knew, he could see that this gonna, he could see the future. So he's just warning. He said, if you want to keep him as a household and within your family, don't let him go in the river. That was one of the prediction. And At the similar time frame, Mahaprabhu also had this is before the Narottam's appearance, he had sent two exalted Vaishnavas to Vrindavan. Before even six Goswamis, before he ordered 6 Goswamis to go to Vrindavan, he ordered Loknath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami to go to Vrindavan and said, go there and preach and reestablish the holy places, the pastime places of Radha and Krishna in Braj. So he sent Loknath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami before the 6 Goswamis. They were already there. Then the Krishnananda, that as a pious king, he used to regularly receive these Vaishnavas when they were traveling to Puri. They remember the devotees from Bengal or Navadvip, they used to travel to Puri for annual Rath Yatra festival. So when they were on the way, the Krishnananda used to receive these great saintly personalities and have a kirtan and discourse in the katha. So Narottam Das was now, he used to regularly hear these. So these great Vaishnavas, they used to narrate the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis' pastimes, how the Goswamis, great Goswamis, Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath, and Raghunath and Das Goswami's pastimes. The Narottam now is developing this love for Mahaprabhu, to be with Mahaprabhu and to be in that company, developing and day by day increasing. And when he heard the pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami is also similar. He is the son of a very rich merchant, or the zamindars. How he escaped that whole family. He was married. They had bodyguards and everything. So it was similar. And when he heard the pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, okay, there is a clue. Because he was also guarded with the guards and everybody, so they knew that these personalities he could see. So he was well guarded that he doesn't escape, because now he's developing all this love for Mahaprabhu. That was Narottam Das Thakur. And so when he was about 12 or 13, Narottam Das Thakur, Nityananda Mahaprabhu comes to his dream. And Nityananda Mahaprabhu tells him, you should go and bathe in the Padmavati river. Because Nityananda Mahaprabhu knows that. So he comes in a dream and he gives that dreams. And then Narottam Das Thakur goes into this Padmavati river. And he gets this, the whole river overflows. As soon as Narottam Das goes into a river, and the river overflows. And then, of course, as Mahaprabhu predicted that he gets this Krishna prema, so that he just becomes completely, ecstatically absorbed, becomes ecstatic in the... So then Narottam Das Thakur somehow or other, like a very... because he was guarded by these bodyguards, he tells them, now I have to go to Vrindavan. Either I will kill myself, or you let me go. He was so sweet. He was so convinced, and so he convinced those guards, and they let him go, because he knew that he's not going to stay here, because he's now, you can see all these symptoms. So then, Narottam Das now travels to Vrindavan. He's heading towards Vrindavan, going. On the way to Vrindavan, of course, it is far away from Bengal to travel all the way to Vrindavan. It takes about 15 days he's traveling. In the travel, Mahaprabhu comes into a dream one day. So you're going to Vrindavan? Very nice. You should take an initiation from the Loknath Goswami. Then he reaches the Mathura after 15, 20 days of travel, long travel. And then he meets one Brahmana. And he asks, what city is this? Brahmana tells him, this is Mathura. He was so happy. Huh? And he asks Brahmana, do you know where did the Rupa and Sanatana live? The Brahmana responds, Rupa and Sanatana have already left. They're not here. Because by the time Narottam Das Thakur reached Mathura, Vrindavan and Mathura, the Rupa and Sanatana already left. Then, however, Brahmana said, you're Narottam, right? I said, how do you know? Because the Narottam was such exalted devotee, Mahaprabhu, all these the associates of Mahaprabhu, they knew that the Narottam is coming. So everybody knew that in somewhat is known that Narottam is coming. I said, yes, I am Narottam. He said, now you go to Vrindavan. So the Brahmana directs him to go to Vrindavan. And he reaches Vrindavan. He reaches the Govinda Dev temple. Outside he pay obeisances. And when he gets up, guess who he meets? His personality comes in, wakes him up and embraces him and said, you are Narottam, right? Narottam gets surprised. And this was Jiva Goswami. Now, because after Sanatana and Rupa and Sanatana had gone, the Jiva Goswami was the head of the Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava. He was the leader. Then the Narottam Das Thakur is under the cares of Jiva Goswami, because Jiva Goswami is very scholarly. So he gets trained, he gets shown around the Vrindavan. Now, before Narottam Das Thakur, there's two more Vaishnavas already in the company of Jiva Goswami, famous. Do you know who are they? Śrīmad-Acharya, yes. And Shyamananda Pandit. Shyamananda Prabhu. They were already there. So now Narottam is the third one to join this. And now the Narottam Das, all these personalities were now taught by the practices of devotion service by Jiva Goswami. They're getting trained. And meanwhile, he's also shown around the Braj. He's meeting different devotees. Now, the Narottam Das Thakur meets who? Loknath Goswami. Loknath Goswami at the time was residing just next to the Radharaman temple in that Radharaman area. Loknath Swami is a very simple, very bhajananandi, means he was just sitting and performing a devotion service in one spot. He was elderly as it is already. And then Narottam Das Thakur approached. In fact, before the Narottam Das Thakur came, Mahaprabhu also came to the dream of Loknath Goswami. He said, please, when Narottam Das Thakur comes, give him an initiation. But when Narottam Das Thakur sees him and approaches him for the initiation, and then Loknath Goswami refuses. You too exalted devotee, you are empowered by Mahaprabhu. I'm a very insignificant soul. How can I initiate you? So he took a humble position and said, no, sorry, He didn't take initiation. Didn't give initiation. But Narottam Das Thakur was very determined. He said, no, I will take initiation from you. You are my spiritual master. But there was a refusal. So Narottam Das Thakur, he wanted to serve his guru somehow. He hasn't taken initiation, but yet he wanted to serve. So when Loknath Goswami Maharaj used to do his morning business, like going to the field and pass, and Narottam Das Thakur used to clean. He used to come at night and clean and make it that place where he used to do his morning business. And he used to clean. He used to collect the water from the Yamuna, and he used to collect from the clay to wash his hand, make all the facilities there, just make it clean. This is going for so very long time. And then one day, Lokanath Goswami said, what's happening here? Something is not right. Somebody is doing that. So he stayed back. He said, who is this? I mean, he saw Narottam Das doing this. He said, who are you? And Narottam Das said, I'm your servant. I just want to serve you. And still he wasn't. And then again Mahaprabhu came in and told Lokanath Goswami, you initiate this, give initiation. Mahaprabhu ordered him. Then Narottam Das Thakur was initiated by Lokanath Goswami Maharaj. Then he continued the study. So the three of them now, who? Narottam, Shyamananda and Srinivasacharya. These three prominent. By the time Goswamis, as I said, Rupa and Sanatana already left, but they have compiled a huge amount of literatures on the Vaishnavism. So the Jiva Goswami, after their graduation, sends these three to Bengal with the books of the Goswamis. Because they are very, there was no printing press. There's no to make copy. So all these books were handwritten and copied. Imagine how they priceless these books were if they were to lose. So Jiva Goswami makes a arrangement. He has a cart arranged. Books were packed in the trunk, and then he also provides them like 10 heavy guards to take. So when these books, and this is like the first traveling Sankirtan book party, isn't it? They are the original Sankirtan book party, traveling Sankirtan party, as Prabhupada initiated when they like Radha Damodar party organized by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Similar, they are the original traveling Sankirtan book party. Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya and Shyamananda Pandit. By the time they get to there was a place called Vishnupur. There was a king by the name Birahambir. This Birahambir had an astrologer. An astrologer had predicted, he said, in your kingdom, something very priceless, valuable things coming. You should. So this king now makes arrangement, and then they said, oh, so and so day, and this is how it's coming. It's all predicted. So this king somehow at that time the guard fell asleep and everything. So these books, the gets stolen by the king named Birahambir. So these books, when the books were stolen, they were, imagine, they have traveled all the way from Vrindavan, so many days, and these books are just, like only few copies. They were copied, and then they're gone, stolen. Imagine their sorrow. They travel, and now their spiritual masters, Jiva Goswami, have given this order, this task to do, and now the books are gone. Whoa. Anyway, long story short, the Srinivasacharya has taken the responsibility to find these books. He asked Narottam Das to go to Keturi, that is his place, and he asked the Shyamananda Pandit to ask to Odisha. That's the Odisha ashram, I think it is. And they separate, three of them now. Srinivasacharya stays back, and long story short, what happens is king now reveals, they find the book, he finds out, Srinivasacharya eventually, he gets even initiation to this king. Meanwhile, Narottam Das Thakur has returned to his village Keturi. In the Keturi, Narottam Das also starts to propagate the Vaishnavism. So these books are all now found, everything. Narottam Das Thakur has become such extraordinary, prolific Vaishnava in writings, preachings, and singing. Especially Narottam Das Thakur is known for singing these Vaishnava, creating Vaishnava bhajans. Anyway, so long story. The Narottam Das Thakur becomes very successful in preaching the message of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and he starts to initiate some of the Brahmanas who were very smarta Brahmanas, very strict Brahmanas. When they came in association with the Narottam Das Thakur, they take initiation. Amongst who were very popular was Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and a few others. They taken the initiation from Narottam Das Thakur. Anyway, so it's long history of Narottam Das, the great exalt preaching activities. And one, I'll just conclude with the one final. The Narottam Das Thakur, he had organized the first Gaur Purnima festival. I think it was what he did was he invited all the associates of Mahaprabhu who are now like elderly, like Janra Mata, Nityananda Mahaprabhu's second wife, he had two wives, Janra Mata and others. He invited all of them, and then they had this great festival called Keturi Festival for 10 days. In this festival, this Sankirtan was so great, the Narottam Das Thakur singing was so great, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and all Panchatattwas, they reappeared in this stage of this festival. Everyone could see this Panchatattva coming into a stage. Anyway, so Narottam Das is very exalted Vaishnava. He has written many books. One of the song we sing every morning, Sri Guru Charana Padma, this is the Narottam Das Thakur's book from Prarthana. So many Vaishnava bhajans, and he had made hundreds of disciples. And finally, he leaves this world in Bengal, but his samadhi is in Vrindavan, in Radha Gokulananda temple, in the courtyard. That's the Narottam Das Thakur's still there, the samadhi. There's also samadhi of Loknath Goswami, his Guru Maharaj's samadhi is there, Narottam Das Thakur, and Ganga Narayan and others, prominent disciples there. Still a lot of samadhis if you go to Radha Gokulananda temple, next to Radharaman temple in Vrindavan, you find these samadhi of Narottam Das Thakur. So we've gone over the time. So Sri Narottam Das Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki, Navayogendra ki jai. Any comments, questions? Quick ones? You gone way far. I think we're late, yeah. So we'll stop. So Granthraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Radha Vallavi ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.